This is No BS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 2455. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to the weekend. Now, normally on Fridays, I release a longer interview that I've done with someone else. But this week and next week, I'm not going to do that because, with the holiday being what it is, I just don't think as many of you are going to be out there listening for a longer show. So I decided I'd rein it back in. 2 weeks from now, I'll be back with my normal long interviews. But for today, it's a good little show about, have you ever been criticized by your boss or a board member? Hope you find this helpful. Hope you give it a great review wherever you watch or listen to the show. Remember, Spotify, it's a video podcast, and I'm hoping to bring it over to YouTube very soon as well. And with that, let's get going. If you're asked the question, tell me about a time your boss or a board member criticized you, that's a variation on the question you're asked on a staff level. Tell me about a time your work was criticized. Unlike the situation when you're at a staff level, where I encourage people to talk about back in the day when you were a beginner and all that sort of stuff, you can't get away with this. You have to focus on something more recent. And the first thing is to change the language of the question. I don't think I've ever been criticized. I think a decision I've made has been criticized. And what I've done is sit with that individual and ask them what their opinions were of my choices, what they understood the conditions were that went into the decision, and then bring them up to speed with how I saw it in the fray. Often, when we go back in time, they're going to think of that as a deflection. You're not answering the question. But you want to understand where their judgment came from, where their opinion came from, because ultimately it's about how they see the outcome and whether they perceive any misses on your part. Now, the fun thing is to say, at a certain point, is to say, yeah, I missed that point. I know in my life, I ran a retreat workshop, and there was a decision I made that the hosts of this disagreed with initially. But we hashed it out, we talked about it, and eventually they agreed with the choice I made. It's much the same thing here. You want to understand how they came to the conclusion that you made the wrong choice, so that in this way you can talk them through what your inputs were, what you were being told. And yes, the outcome isn't what we hoped it would be. And given what we knew at the time and what our concerns were, we had a series of bad choices and bad potential outcomes, and I think we chose the least bad one, given everything I spoke with the board about, everything, because this is probably a new board member who's being judgmental, but if it's a long-term board member, you can say, given the advice I received from the board, given all the inputs that I received from other individuals, this was the least bad choice that we had. And you kind of walk them through the decisioning and what you did to minimize risk so that this way they understand. Hope you found this helpful. I'm Jeff Altman. Visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us. There's a ton in the blog that'll help you. In addition, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, you can schedule time for a free discovery call, schedule time for a session with me. You can find out about my courses, books, and guides. There's just a lot there that'll help. And if this isn't the right time, just put the address in your phone, thebiggamehunter.us. In the notes field, put the phrase job search blog, so this way you can come back to me on another occasion. Lastly, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/thebiggamehunter. Have a terrific day and be great.